Hello, beauty. Welcome back to Midlife by Human Design. Have you been watching the World Cup? I personally am so sucked in. I love watching the World Cup. I'm so excited that FIFA expanded it to 48 teams, that it's been a longer run for a number of reasons. I just love watching soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. I feel weird calling it soccer when we're the only nation in the world that calls it soccer, I think. Anyway, it's just felt really unifying, to watch all of the world come together to play this sport and connect with one another about a shared love of this sport. And who knew I would be such a sports fan in my ripe, beautiful age? But I am. And I want to talk about the World Cup and what I think it can teach us about midlife and being a sovereign midlife woman. So I hope that you have been enjoying the World Cup. Even if you haven't been watching, I think these lessons are still very valid. So, lesson number 1. You don't win by playing not to lose. What do I mean by that in terms of how it relates to midlife? Well, oftentimes we have been trained over our lifetimes to feel not very confident about ourselves, right? To not apply for jobs if we aren't a 100% match for every single thing that they're looking for. Or we don't ask for things that we want because we feel like it might be rude. Or we don't launch an offer that we have because we get so in our heads about all of the different possibilities, this fear of failure kind of bleeding through all of the pieces before we even put anything out there. We don't leave relationships that we know are wrong for us because this is what we've been doing for decades and it feels like the only possible thing, so we stay. Or we don't speak up about things that really rub us the wrong way, about the awful habit that your father-in-law has to interrupt you all the time or talk over you or discount your input. We don't speak up about those things. And I think all of those have something in common, which is trying to avoid failure, trying to be perfect, trying to be likable. And this is where the parallel to our football teams, our soccer teams, comes into play, where you don't go into a game playing not to lose. You don't only defend, because if you're never going on the offense, you're never going to fucking put one in the net, right? You're never going to score a goal. And life works the same way, right? You have to take chances. You have to put yourself out there. And my hope is that with our estrogen decreasing, that we don't care so much about what other people think. And we are more willing to put ourselves out there because of wisdom that we've built, which I will talk about a little bit later. But I want to, of course, tie in human design here, because if we think about our human design strategy, our strategy tells us how to take action in the world, right? Even if it's by invitation, you are still doing the things you love as a projector who has waiting for an invitation as a strategy. You're still doing the things that you love. You're still honing your skills and perfecting the things that are important to you. And waiting for the invitation isn't passive in the sense that you aren't just sitting there doing nothing while you're waiting. You're still like steeped in the things that you love. And your strategy allows you to take action in an aligned way. So it's like when you take your shot, like you're shooting for the goal, you're following your strategy. If you're a generator, you're responding to something. So I want you to think about, as part of this lesson, not winning by playing not to lose. I want you to think about the question of confusing safety with alignment. Is there some place you have believed for yourself that you are in alignment when actually you are simply trying to keep yourself safe? All right. Lesson number 2, bouncing back is more important than perfection. And when we watch the World Cup, men's, women's, all of these people are extremely talented, right? However, they still make mistakes, right? They miss a pass, they miss a goal, they miss a penalty kick. All of those things are still mistakes. And the lesson here is that they bounce right back, right? Obviously, the setup of the game and the container of the game is so fast moving that they don't have any choice. But I would love for us to apply that to our lives and realize, like, shit, even if we do quote unquote fail, it's not failure unless we haven't learned anything from it. And how do we bounce back? How do we not spend 20 minutes apologizing or a day and a half beating ourselves up because we fucked up, or telling ourselves how horrible we are because we made this mistake? And instead, tune back in, understand that we have our design on our sides, that it is meant to lead us, tap into our authority, and tune into that body sensation that will allow you to figure out your next steps. Even tuning into your strategy and thinking about, okay, if I'm a generator type, what is there to respond to now? How can I take the next step by using my strategy and then make a decision by using my authority? And I'm not saying to downplay your emotions. And I think that this is mirrored really well in the games also, because obviously there's a lot of emotion on the field, right? Somebody was joking on socials about how women are being called emotional, but if you say that, you've never seen a soccer match. And I think, yes, there is definitely a drama component to the games. And plus also, I think that it's fair to have emotions. We should expect to have emotions when we miss a pass, when we miss the goal, when we are unable to accomplish something that we hoped to accomplish or tried to accomplish. So we should feel through those emotions, but it becomes no longer helpful for us when we continue to stew in it, right? And if you need help with that, you should go back and listen to my episode on how to feel your feelings, because I walk you through exactly what that looks like. All right, lesson 3. Everybody has a different position and a different role, right? A different job on the field. You're not going to get pissed off at the goalie for not scoring a goal. You're not going to get pissed off at defense for not scoring a goal, or expect your strikers to always be defending the net. Sometimes some of the positions play different roles, but for the most part, you're watching the positions and they're there for a reason, right? The game is structured for a reason. And to extend this into human design as a metaphor, think about your profile. Think about the role that you are here to play as a 5-1. For example, you are here to say shit that people don't say. You are here to shake things up. You are here to dive deep into information and show up with that and share that in a way that feels different. If you are a 2-4, You're here to share your natural talents and your beautiful ability to just do things kind of magically with your community. And you're here to surround yourself with the community and find the balance between that community space for yourself and being alone. And if you're interested in profiles, you should go back to the beginning of the pod and look for the episode that I recorded about profiles. And I will try to remember to link these in the show notes. But my point being that everybody on the field has a role to play. You could even extend this to our energy type, right? We shouldn't be angry at a reflector for not bringing the same amount of consistent energy to the field, to the environment, to the situation that a generator would, for example. So it works because everybody has a different role and they play together. And this is by design. And there are no accidents, right? So when we think about all of the games that we play, whether it's soccer, football, American football, lacrosse, whatever the game is, we can see reflected for us that there are rules, and it's like the universal laws. You know, we all kind of play by a set of rules, and when we understand them, then we don't try to be things that we're not. We don't try to show up functioning like something that we are not. And maybe most importantly, we don't feel badly about that. We feel really good about showing up as the role or the type that we were assigned and doing that, being that in alignment. All right, lesson number 4. Momentum can change in a heartbeat, right? It's been interesting to watch the games and see how they do the momentum meter. Like they'll put it up on the screen in intervals throughout the game, and they'll show where the momentum has been throughout the game. Like it was with one team and then it switched to another team and then it switched back to the other team, and it goes back and forth. And the fact is that the smallest thing can change everything, or the biggest accomplishment can change everything. So like you score a goal, obviously that shifts everything, right? The momentum picks up for you. There's a shift in the vibe, you know, but it can also be things like a sub coming in or a fucking red card given that changes the entire game, right? Shout out to Switzerland. I'm so sorry. So the metaphor here is for midlife, when sometimes it can feel like the same old, until you start making those 1-degree pivots. And then one day you wake up and realize, holy shit, like my life is different. My life looks better than it did before. Or it could be one conversation that you have where maybe you finally speak up to your father-in-law and say, hey, I was actually talking. Could you not interrupt me, please? What a confidence builder. Or maybe it's a conversation that you have with your partner to say, you know what? This isn't really working for me the way things are going right now. So we either need to revisit or we need to think about other options moving forward. You know, that's a big conversation. That's like a goal scorer, right? Some can be subtle, but either way, it shifts. And it's important to understand that just because it is this way today doesn't mean that it has to be for the rest of your life. Just because it is this way today doesn't mean that it has to be this way for the rest of your life. The score at halftime may not be the same at the final. All right, lesson number 5. Experience is an advantage. Okay, there has been so much conversation about Ronaldo, about Messi, about Mbappe. and the years of experience that they bring to the field. And I think that this is maybe one of my favorite takeaways from this is remembering that experience has value and that you as a midlife woman have value because you are 50 plus or however old you are listening to this podcast. I think that when you're watching the game, like watching Messi, they were talking about this the other day when Argentina was playing, how he really doesn't beat feet on the field. He's not like cooking around the whole time, running. He is strategic. He's scanning the field for plays. And when he needs to get in there, he gets in there and he makes it happen. But he's not expending all of this unnecessary energy. And that comes from experience. He's been there before. He knows what to look for. He knows how to deal with it. He is anticipating. He's staying calm. He's staying focused. And then when it's time, he executes. And I think we as midlife women spend so much time wishing that we were younger, wishing our bodies were younger, wishing for our youth in some way, shape, or form. And it's so important to remember that even as our bodies are getting older, it's like everything is in our minds. And when we can shift our mindset and focus on, okay, look at all this experience that I have. Look at all this lived life that I have and the richness that it brings to my experience. Focus on that and how you can make decisions differently as a midlife woman because of that experience. And you realize how much better your life is. Experience is the winning component, right? It's the magic sauce. And for us as midlife women, it is what allows us to step into our superpowers and redefine this next phase of our life. You know, understanding that we have that experience, understanding that with that experience comes confidence if we allow it, and then taking the steps that we know are in alignment for us. All right, lesson number 6. The crowd isn't playing the game, right? The crowd is watching the game. They are not the players. And the metaphor here is about you as the player of your own game of life. And the crowd around you can be cheering for you, it can be booing you, it can be elated, excited, it can be, destitute and just deflated. In the end, though, none of that matters. And I was watching Erling Haaland the other day when Norway was playing England. Is that right? Norway was playing England. Yes. And I was realizing how much attention he was getting on the whole build-up of this game, and all of the attention was on him. All of the pre-game stuff was on him. The shots on the field when they were taking camera angles were consistently on him, on his face. And I was observing him taking in all of the fanfare, the wildness of the opportunity. And I was also watching him center himself, come inside, find that quiet within and that focused space within. And this goes for all of the guys who have had a lot of focus on them. And it really spoke to the effect that all of this fanfare can have on you. And that fanfare is conditioning, plain and simple. In action, it is other people's expectations of you. Other people are going to have opinions, right? But they're not the player on the field. At the end of the day, they are not the ones taking the action. So we can be angry with our favorite players, we can be angry with the refs, we can be frustrated, but the fact of the matter is that we are only playing our own game here. So think about when you are living your life for someone else, when you are taking actions because of someone else's expectations. And draw the parallel here. Remember that this is your game. This is your experience that you ultimately have control over. You get this one life in this specific body, in this specific time in the world, and this is what you get to live. So what are you going to do with it? How are you going to spend it? And are you going to use your body as a compass to help you navigate? Or are you going to let everybody else's opinions and thoughts and feelings and et cetera, influence you to take actions that are not in alignment with who you are? All right, and lesson number 7. The final whistle, friends, has not been blown yet. This largely comes from society and societal expectations, but it just feels like as soon as you hit somewhere around 40, your feed suddenly is filled with ads about all the things that are wrong with you, right? Quote unquote, wrong with you. Your skin is sagging, you have wrinkles, you have too much weight, your belly's too fat, or whatever, all of the things that society says are wrong with women as they age. And it can make women feel like they aren't good enough, like they need to be constantly fixing something about themselves. And or you feel like, fuck, I missed it. Like, I missed my chance. I should have done that when I was younger. And again, going back to the idea of just wishing you were younger, wishing for that youth. And the thing is, and what the World Cup reminds us, is that it ain't fucking over until it's over. How many games go into overtime? And how many games get decided on penalty kicks? It's absolutely not over until it's over. Until your soul has left this body behind for whatever comes next. So, things can change at the drop of a hat. The underdog can win, right? Red cards can be given and favorites can lose. Ronaldo didn't make it as far as he would have liked to with Portugal in the Cup this year. So just to understand that midlife is literally mid-life. You're in the middle. You are by far not at the end. There's so much life left to live. So now that you are nearing the point in your life where your children become less like children that you need to take care of and more like roommates, what are you going to do with this next phase of your life? What is it going to look like? How are you going to redefine it? And of course, how can you start using your human design to do it in a way that truly lights you up and makes you feel like the most aligned version of yourself that you've ever felt in your entire life? Who's to say that the best years of your life aren't what's happening now or even just around the corner? Because they absolutely could be. So not looking at this phase as if you are washed up, but instead remembering that this is the middle. This is the messy, beautiful middle of redefinition. So how do I want to finish here? I guess to touch back on the human design elements. If you're using your authority, you're making decisions that are aligned for you. If you are ignoring the crowd, you are ignoring the conditioning that is coming in from all those places around you. If you are playing your role and living by your type, you're doing what you came here to do in this phase of life, in this body with this soul. If you are living your life by design, you are living it not like this is some kind of old, washed up, I have nothing to offer phase, but more like, this is my time to fucking shine kind of phase. All right, beauties, that is what I have for you today. 7 lessons from the World Cup. I hope that if you are watching, that you are truly enjoying it. And if you have some other lessons that you are picking up from the World Cup, that you can see some threads or some through lines from the World Cup to midlife, then please send me a message. I would love to hear them. Last week, I did an episode that was a response to a listener's question. If you have questions, feel free to send me a question and I may respond to it on the pod and share that information for everybody to learn from. I would love to hear from you because I genuinely want to help you. I want to help you use your design. And if you are interested in living by your design, then that is what I do. That is what I absolutely love to do, is work with midlife women on a longer term basis to use your design to navigate what is coming up for you. How can we use your human design to help you face situations that are feeling really heavy for you or feeling really challenging and you don't know how to navigate through them? You know, maybe it's a situation with work and you don't know if you want to stay in your job or not, but you're not sure what's next. Let's look at your human design. Let's look at your gifts and understand, what did you come here to do in this lifetime? And how can you start taking steps forward to honor that? That's just an example of the kinds of work that I love to do. And if you're interested in that, you can send me a DM. You can email me, Lori@LoriLisai.com. And of course, I have free resources on my website, LoriLisai.com. You can go to get your chart and see the different downloads that I have. If you have been trying to download just your chart, there was a setting on my website that I needed to fix. I didn't realize that it was a problem. So thank you to those of you who pointed it out. You should be able to just download your chart now if you are interested in doing that. And I also have the free mini guide and some other free resources, perimenopause survival guide, for you to check out as well. So if you are listening to this on YouTube, please follow my channel, subscribe to my channel, and give it a like. Please feel free to comment. If you are listening to this on your favorite pod platform, make sure you're following the show so it can always end up in your queue when I drop them. And share it with somebody who is another World Cup fan and see what they have to say. Do they understand the parallels that can be seen about midlife and what's happening with these amazing athletes? So until next time, I am wishing you the strength to let go of what no longer serves you, so much joy to fill your days, and the clarity to be who you came here to be.